Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to another episode of News Dose, where I give you all of the latest gaming news. And we have a little bit of everything to talk about today. We got some Xbox news with an exciting update that I think fans are going to enjoy quite a bit, and it makes the holiday lineup a little bit more interesting. Then there is the PlayStation 5, and because of its genius design, it's already starting to pay off. And then we also have to talk about the Nintendo Switch because today I heard one of the most unbelievable takes I've ever heard in gaming. Now, I've been into gaming for a long time, and this one took me by surprise. So we have a jam-packed episode today, and you're not going to want to miss it. With that said, let's get right into the news, starting off with Pumpkin Jack. Pumpkin Jack released today for the Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and on PC. Unfortunately, it's not available for the PlayStation 4 just yet, but it will be coming soon. Now, it's actually 20% off right now if you are interested in Pumpkin Jack, but so far it sounds like it's a pretty good game. Reviews have started to come in, and on OpenCritic it has an overall score of 75, which is pretty good for a game like this. It's not mind-blowing or anything like that, but critics do seem to be pretty harsh on these old-school 3D platformers. So I checked on Steam, and I wanted to see what users were saying about this game, and last time I checked, it had a 98% approval rate. Yeah, that's a pretty good sign, and that's a thing. If you like these old-school 3D platformers, then Pumpkin Jack might be something you're interested in. It looks very similar to Medieval, and from what I'm hearing, it even surpasses last year's remake of Medieval in terms of quality, and that's a beloved game. Again though, it's 20% off until October 30th, and it could be a fun game to play for the spooktacular month of October. Now that's not the only game that you can play over the weekend, because Ubisoft's upcoming new IP, Fenyx Rising, is available as of this moment. But unfortunately, it is limited in both time and where you can play it. It will be available to play until October 29th, and it's exclusive to Google Stadia. Yeah, I understand not everybody is going to want to play Google Stadia, but still this is a free demo, and if you're on the fence for Fenyx Rising, it might be worth at least trying. I might do it myself because I think this game looks pretty interesting. I'm not completely sold on it just yet, but it reminds me a lot of Zelda, with almost some Kid Icarus thrown in, and I do say that is a good thing. It's also apparently inspired by early 2000 action platformers such as Banjo-Kazooie and Jak and Daxter, and while Banjo is some of my all-time favorite games ever, so that has me even more intrigued. Really, they just need to execute here, and I'm rooting for this game. We need more big new IP for this holiday, and I'm hoping Fenyx Rising can deliver. So hey, if you are looking for a game to play this weekend, you can go check out the demo of Fenyx Rising, and well, it's free, so there is that. Let's talk about something a little bit more controversial though, and unfortunately we got more time DLC to talk about. Yeah, I guess PlayStation and Activision partnered up once again for Call of Duty Cold War timed DLC. And this isn't like some small skin or something like that. This is in an entire game mode, as PlayStation players will get a 2-player Zombie Onslaught co-op mode for a full year. Now, from the business side of things, this must be working for Sony because they keep buying up these timed exclusives for not just games, but DLC as well. They did do the same thing with Spider-Man in the Avengers, so they're no strangers of this type of thing regardless of how controversial it is or isn't. And of course, Call of Duty is one of the biggest franchises in the entire industry, so from a business perspective, it probably makes a lot of sense for them to do this, especially with the PlayStation 5 launch looming. They're looking for any kind of advantage that they can get. At the same time though, I do understand why the Call of Duty fanbase would be very upset about something like this. There are a lot of Call of Duty fans on the Xbox and PC, and I imagine most are probably not willing to move over to another platform just because it has some extra content. Again, it must be working a little bit for Sony because they keep doing this, and I'd say that's probably with fans who have multiple platforms in specific, where they're not being forced to buy a completely new console. Still, it does lock out a large part of your community, and that's the unfortunate part for a game that is available on multiple platforms. And speaking of DLC, Gears seems to be one of the early flagship titles for the Xbox series. You do have Gears Tactics as a launch day title, but also, this isn't talked about as much, but Gears 5 is getting a pretty beefy update. We talked about that earlier this week because the upgrade in visuals for Gears 5 is pretty insane, especially with the lighting and reflections bouncing off the floors. That's not all though, because they're planning to release a pretty big update that will be there at launch of the Xbox Series. This includes new difficulty modes, new achievements, new skins, mutators, and the really strange one is that you can choose to play as Dave Bautista instead of Marcus Fenyx, and even includes his voice. Yeah, that's pretty strange and cool at the same time, but the more significant update will be story DLC Hivebusters. I wasn't expecting that, but sometime in early December, you will be able to go back and play a new 3 to 4 hour long story campaign in Gears 5. Now, they're not revealing too much on this just yet, so I don't know if it's free or if it will cost extra, but apparently it will focus on the escape characters from Team Scorpio. So you're not going to get any new content for Kate or Marcus Fenyx, but hopefully this will be a lot of fun, and I'm excited to hear more about this. You have to remember though, it's also including a pretty major graphical update, such as improved lighting, shadows, increased frame rate, and you can even play Gears 5 up to 120 frames per second, and then the cinematics will also be 60 frames. Yeah, this is starting to sound a lot more like a remaster than just a simple update, and it might be worth checking out on your Series X even if you've already played it before. Head of Xbox Phil Spencer was also in the news again, and I always enjoy listening to him. It almost seems like every time he has an interview, he reveals something to be excited about, and this time he teased something that continues to make Xbox more and more accessible, especially for the mainstream audience. So he seems to be teasing a streaming stick that allows you to play Xbox games on your TV through XCloud. In other words, you can play Xbox games on your TV without the need of an Xbox console. But let's take a listen to exactly what he said. I think you're going to see lower priced hardware as a part of our ecosystem when you think about streaming sticks and other things that somebody might want to just plug into their TV and go play via XCloud. So there it is. And if this is done right, this could end up being a nice affordable option. Probably not for hardcore gamers, but I could definitely see the mainstream public being interested in something like this, if the price is right. By selling a cheap streaming stick, this could be a very affordable way to get Xbox in people's homes. Really though, the one big battle for XCloud is internet. I see this happen a lot online, but people ask why XCloud is not running well on their device, and this is important to keep in mind. In my experience, it is absolutely necessary to be using a 5G router. If you're using that, it runs really well, but if you're not, it's going to have issues. So just keep that in mind if you do want to use XCloud in the future. Still, a streaming stick could be nice for a lot of people who aren't looking to spend a lot of money on a new console. It's probably not going to be big for hardcore gamers, but it definitely has the potential with the mass market. Let's move on to the PlayStation news though. We saw that teardown of the PlayStation 5 a week or so ago, and as soon as I watched that video, the most exciting thing to me personally was those faceplates. They look relatively easy to just pop off, and it doesn't void the warranty. So my immediate thought was, we're going to see a lot of custom-made plates for the PlayStation 5. Well, it looks like that's already happening ahead of the official launch, as a third-party website by the name of PlateStation 5 is selling custom-made PlayStation 5 faceplates. They're offering several different options, from a limited edition matte black to red or even chrome, and they're all set to $40. Now with that said, I really don't know how reputable this website is, and I do question if they have the dimensions properly measured considering the PlayStation 5 isn't available yet. But they did say that Sony published the information and they're using that to make these. I'd still probably wait to get something like this, but that's completely up to you. Nonetheless, this is exactly what I was expecting when we saw that teardown, and I think this is a genius design on Sony's part. I mean, a lot of people think that the PlayStation 5 is a weird-looking console, and I'm sure some of that is because of that Alienware-esque two-tone design. And when I say it's a genius design, I'm not talking about how technically powerful it is or the insides of the PlayStation 5, but I really like the customization that you can do with this console. It reminds me a lot of the Xbox 360, where you can change that faceplate, but with the PlayStation 5, you can essentially change the entire look of your console, and not just the front. Again, it is a weird looking console, but I'm excited to see what kind of designs people can come up with. There are some very artistic people out there, and I fully expect some cool game related designs. However, that wasn't the only PlayStation 5 news, because several news outlets started to post pictures today revealing they now have the PlayStation 5 in hand. Now that is important because now all of these different outlets can test the PlayStation 5 ahead of the release and give their thoughts, impressions, and even new details. So it does look like everybody got these consoles on Friday, so I imagine we're going to start to see a lot of new PlayStation 5 information come out starting Monday. Maybe some places will push out their thoughts sooner to try and be early in reporting what they found, but I think this is probably the start of a lot of PlayStation 5 coverage heading into the launch of the PlayStation 5. As always, if anything exciting pops up, I'll of course cover it. On to our last topic though, and I believe we may have gotten one of the most unbelievable statements ever made from a gaming analyst. So Michael Pachter, which has certainly made a lot of hot takes over the years, really outdid himself this time as he says he doesn't understand the Nintendo Switch Hybrid concept and that he believes most fans don't play it in both modes. And okay, I guess that's fine, he doesn't have to understand. But then he goes on to say this, and Nintendo isn't that smart, so you never know what they'll do next. But I think the smart thing would be to get rid of the Switch console and only have the Switch Lite. Get rid of the docking station, get rid of playing on TV. Maybe offer a Fire Stick style dongle for those who do want to play it on TV. Yeah, that's actually his suggestion. He wants Nintendo to get rid of the standard Switch in favor of the Switch Lite, which by the way, the standard Switch does outsell the Switch Lite. Yeah, I honestly could not believe I was hearing this from a gaming analyst, and again, he's made some pretty outlandish statements before, but the Nintendo Switch is on pace for being one of the most successful consoles ever made, and this year alone has been insane for the Switch. I mean, I guess he hasn't heard about all that or Animal Crossing New Horizons. Now, I will say this, I would like to see Nintendo make another Switch to increase its power a bit and maybe improve its audio, but he believes they're not smart. I just don't get that, and I don't even know what to say about this comment. I mean, I know Nintendo can be strange with some of their decisions, but the Switch was not one of those odd decisions, and it's actually brilliant. I was heavily debating not even bringing this up on the episode, but I thought we would at least talk about it, have a good laugh, and then just enjoy our weekend. We all need a good laugh every once in a while, but I will leave everybody with this information. Here's an image that shows how much Switch users play in each mode, so we'll just leave it at that. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but I hope everybody has a great weekend, and if you liked the video, make sure to hit the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.